And welcome to Winton Motor Raceway for round 4 of the Shell Ultra Touring Car Championship. And what a crackerjack race it promises to be here today. Jimmy Richards, of course, tried to repeat Nissan's victory here last year, but he really has a tiger by the tail today in Alan Jones, who was superb in qualifying yesterday. Let's take a look at the way they line up here today. Pole position has gone to Jimmy Richards in the Nissan Skyline. Out of position number 2, it's car number 20, Alan Jones, in the Benson and Hedges Sierra. From 325, his teammate, Tony Longhurst. From position number 4, number 3, Mark Scaife in the second of the Nissans. From position number 5, it's car number 30, Glenn Seaton in the Peter Jackson Sierra. From 6, car number 16, who said the Holdens were out of this one, Win Percy. And from 7, car number 11, Larry Perkins. Defending champ Dick Johnson starts out of position number 8 in car number 17. From 9, it's car number 18, teammate John Bow. And from 10 in the Caltex CXT Sierra, it's Colin Bond. For the start of round number 4 of the Shell Ultra Touring Car Championship from Winton. Pole sitter Jim Richards, AJ on the outside of the front row. Wait for the first turn. They're off. Jones actually gets the best of it, but Richards catches the next one, gets through smartly on the lead, and then Mark Scaife making a brilliant start out of the second row. Just look at them fighting for racing room as they go into the first turn, but Alan Jones dropping into second spot and Richards leading it. A wall of cars here at Winton Motor Raceway as they work their way up to the sweeper.
Look at that's Kevin Waldock out in the grass there, and Dick Johnson got all out of shape, and look at this scrap on at the head of the field. Jim Richards, a tremendous start. One of the drivers, I think, in either one of the Nissans had a million revs when he left the line, but he still made a great start.
I think that may have been Scaife. He's up to third. Just look at Win Percy. He has made a blinder up to fourth already as they head up to the right-hander at Castrol with Jimmy Richards, the race leader.
It's a monstrous field of touring cars contesting this round at Winton. It's Jim Richards, Alan Jones in second place. Third place is Mark Scaife. In fourth place, Win Percy making an attack on the inside, and behind him, Tony Longhurst.
Okay, coming through the S's, just look at the scrap. Alan Jones all over Jimmy Richards, gets the inside run as they come off. Richards up on the ripple strip and Jones down on the inside. Moment of truth now for Alan Jones. He takes over the lead. Sweeps into the lead in the Benson and Hedges Sierra with Richards now running in second spot.
This is going to be a fantastic scrap because the conditions have been very hot here all weekend, but only just now you can see the sky in the background on occasion is getting a little cooler, a little darker, and it's changed the way the guys will have set, or the conditions will change, and therefore the way the guys have set the cars up is going to be a little bit weird because I don't know what it's going to be like in these conditions.
Warm. Okay, through Penrite, Alan Jones, Jimmy Richards back onto the bumper of the Benson and Hedges Sierra as they make their way to the right-hander at Castrol. Mark Scaife running a solid third here for Nissan as they exit that turn. Win Percy doing a stellar job in the Holden as they work their way down the back straight. Then Tony Longhurst the next in line, and Dick Johnson and John Bow back in the pack there just a little. Glenn Seaton is also in there to keep them honest, and Greg Hansford trying to fight his way through. And Peter Brock today starting out of position number 13. Across the line, Alan Jones, Australia's ex-Formula 1 champ, leads the field with Richards in second spot.
Yokohama tyres on the leading Sierra, Yokohama tyres on the second Nissan there, car number 2, Jim Richards. Yokohama's also on Mark Scaife's car, and then the first of the Dunlop runners at the moment is Win Percy. Behind him, Tony Longhurst on Yokohama's, and then Seaton on Yokohama. So do you detect a pattern in the way that the field was organised? And look at this brilliant shot from the race cam.
Yes, our Nissan track cam now riding with Jimmy Richards as they head up to the right-hander, and that's Alan Jones just ahead of him. Give you an idea of just how close and how twisting this circuit is at Winton.
Jones is actually getting away from him a little bit, which surprised me. I thought Jim would be right back on him.
Here's Brad Jones joining us for commentary in the Touring Car Championship this afternoon as we study the midfield positions. Glenn Seaton going through, then Dick Johnson, John Bower through, Peter Brock in there, Andrew Madecki, and Colin Bond, who was to have started off position number 10 in the pack, actually started dead last following a protest entered against him by Alan Moffat yesterday, in that he didn't use the same 8 tyres for the weekend. He in fact used 4 of one brand and 4 Toyos sponsor. So they got into a beautiful old slanging match earlier today.
There are a couple of teams involved in that. The rule is, as I understand it, that you have to nominate 8 tyres of the same construction and compound and brand on Saturday morning, and they must carry you through both sessions of qualifying and the race. but there have been some weird and wonderful interpretations of that, and it's causing plenty of drama, particularly amongst the touring car entrance group.
So Colin Bond started dead last in the Caltech CXT Sierra, and he is coming through the pack at the moment up to position number 20.
Win Percy has started on a slightly softer tyre than Larry Perkins, for example, in the background there in the Perkins Engineering Commodore, and so he's got an advantage at the moment, but it'll be very interesting to see whether Winston can hold the pace in this car as the race unfolds. He's pressuring Mark Scaife at the moment. Mark's got the double whammy this weekend, driving in the Australian Drivers' Championship and the touring car, and he's just come out of the open wheeler where he's had a bit of bad luck, and so he's got to clear his mind now and get on with the job.
Well, Wynn's certainly going to keep him honest over the distance, providing the tyres hang together on the Holden. So Mark Scaife runs in third in the Nissan number 3 car. Right behind him, Win Percy in the number 16 Holden Special Vehicles entry. It's not really the track you'd expect Holden to even be competitive on against the Sierras and Nissans, but they've Wynn certainly done a great job. Longhurst is the next one back behind him. Then, of course, Glenn Seaton in the Peter Jackson Sierra.
We've done a bit of testing with the Commodore up here at Winton. I guess in many ways it's the local track for the team, so they should know it pretty well. And it's the same also, I think, for the Nissan team. They've done a lot of miles here and logged a lot of information.
Is Tony Longhurst
trying to get some cool air into the front of his car, I'd say.
On that shot, it looked like he was close to the back of the Commodore, but he's still a few metres shy of the mark at the moment. And he might be experiencing some worries with temp. As I say, it's been unbelievably hot for April here in the last 3 or 4 days. It's just cooled off a little bit right now. If anything, that probably helps Win Percy's choice of rubber. So the order at the moment is Alan Jones leading with a very narrow margin over Jim Richards, from Mark Scaife in third, Win Percy fourth, Tony Longhurst next, then Glenn Seaton in the Peter Jackson entry, followed by Dick Johnson some distance back, John Bowe next, Larry Perkins, Andrew Badecki, Peter Brock, Greg Hansford, Mark Gibbs, Tony Noski, Brian Callahan, Chris Lambden and Colin Bond storming through the pack.
Longhurst getting just a little closer to Win Percy at this stage of the race. Once again up to the right-hander at Penrite. Here's the two leaders bowling away. There's Scaife in third, Percy in fourth.
Richo's a bit closer to the back of Alan Jones' car this time.
Glenn Seaton sitting in there, Dick Johnson.
Good thinking from Longhurst. He doesn't really give anything away by getting out there, but he does give himself some fresh air, and that might be critical as the temps in this car start to rise. It's a very hard track on cars.
It's starting to get a little close up at the front of the pack, with Alan Jones trying to fight off Jim Richards at this stage. There you catch it. The number 20 Benson and Hedges Sierra, and Jimmy Richards, the master here at Winton Motor Raceway, looking for a 1-2 here today, or a 1-3 will do for the Nissan team as we take our Nissan Motorsport race cam. We're riding with Jimmy Richards, the exit to that turn, a short run here to the left-hander. And as you can see, he is getting much closer to the bumper now of Alan Jones, up to the right-hander now. Almost a dead stop turn, feeded on gently out of here. Jones to the outside. Richards back on the bumper as they work the only straight that there is here at Winton. Coming down now to the right-hander, and they're back into the S's.
The thing with Jim is that the team know, and everybody knows, that he's always giving about 101%, and he's pushing Alan Jones at the moment, braking a little bit later, but look at the way the Sierra squirts. If and when it can get its power to the ground, Alan's got to be very careful that he doesn't break into masses of wheel spin here, because he'll have anything like 500, 550 odd horsepower to play with, and he's putting it through rubber bands, and it'll just get real hot and ugly if he pushes too hard.
Out of the sweeper. Great pictures there from our Nissan Motorsport race cam and track cam as they head up to the right-hander at Penrite. Alan Jones, the Benson and Hedges Sierra, leads round number 4 of the Shell Ultra Touring Car Championship from Winton. But the man who stalks him, Jim Richards, the man who runs third in the series behind Dick Johnson and, of course, John Bowe, is perhaps the man to watch here today. They're already coming up to start putting a lap on some of the slower cars that start at the tail end of the field. There's just a batch of them there.
I wouldn't be surprised if later in this race we see some pit stops, and if you remember the way the event unfolded at Phillip Island a couple of weeks back, that really changed the complexion of the race. I just have a feeling that some guys are just not going to get through on the tyres they've chosen.
Here comes AJ down on the inside. Jim Richards is not going to let him get away.
When you listen to the engine note in this car and listen to how carefully Jim bleeds the power on, he's forceful yet careful, and has to be so careful. Look at Jones being pushed a little wide there. Now he scrambles back and covers his ground. What the part number on the diff there?
That's how close it is as Jimmy Richards gets into stalking mode. Takes Jones on the inside as they make their way to Penrite Turn. And now the Nissan leads round 4 of the Touring Car Nationals from Winton. Superb display there from Jimmy Richards. Is waiting for the right opportunity. He's through and now leads the event. Jones sets right, and getting a little sideways out of there too was AJ as they come down the back straight like Pitt Street on a Friday afternoon.
3 seconds between Alan Jones and Mark Scaife, and Win Percy's just dropped back about 5 or 10 metres further behind Mark in 4th place.
That really did play to the hands of Jimmy Richards in that little overlapping manoeuvre. Was able to put a break of a couple of car lengths on Alan Jones as they head down to the right-hander.
We'll get some gaps for you and some of the other runners.
In fact, Mark Scaife still runs 3rd on the road, and Win Percy has dropped back a little behind him. We'll get that for you on the long shot as they come down the straight.
An interesting feature of the weekend is the lack of performance from the series leading cars of Dick Johnson and John Bowe. They're 10 seconds behind the leader at this early stage of the race with 10 minutes down, and they've been frustrated beyond belief this weekend.
Here's the gap. We'll show it to you over the field as our race leader, Jimmy Richards, comes into the right-hander, followed by Alan Jones running in 2nd. Mark Scaife is 3rd. Win Percy is 4th. Tony Longhurst 5th. Then Glenn Seaton, who is 6th. Forget the next 2. Up into 7th comes Dick Johnson. 8th is John Bowe. 9th is Larry Perkins. 10th is Peter Brock. And 11th is Andrew Madecki.
Then Mark Gibbs, followed by Greg Hansford. There's Colin Bond coming back through the field. And further back behind Bondy, we've got Tony Noski in the Brock Sierra, Chris Lambden in the Borough Pairs Nissan, Brian Callahan in the Commodore, Kevin Waldock in the Sierra, and Murray Carter in another of the Sierras, and then Ray Lintott from Sydney in the Valvoline entry, and Phil Ward also doing pretty well there in the Little Benz.
He's having a great scrap. So that'll give you an idea of who's still running in the field. Everyone covered. As Gentleman Jim.
Toyota fans may be interested to know that John Smith's had to pull off to the infield. I think it was on the 2nd lap, in fact, with the Supra, so they've got a problem in that car for sure.
Once again, they work the back straight. As you can see, Mark Scaife is now starting to pick up Alan Jones. Win Percy is there, but he's trying to fend off Tony Longhurst in the 2nd of the Benson and Hedges Sierras, and Glenn Seaton remaining fairly constant back behind them. Nothing spectacular at this stage from Seaton.
Mark Scaife, very strong in qualifying in this car. Done about 60,000 laps of Winton this week, extensively testing his open wheeler car and the Skyline, and he's now managed to put a fairly substantial gap between himself and Win Percy.
Back at Winton Motor Raceway, we're following the battle for 2nd in round 4 of the Shell Ultra Nationals, and it is of course Alan Jones in car number 20, the Benson and Hedges here, and the man who has caught him, the 2nd of the Nissans, Mark Scaife.
The last time I had a lap time on Alan Jones, which was a couple of laps ago, we're getting around in the high 63, low 64 second bracket.
Well, Scaife has been able to pick him up, and that battle for right behind them, Win Percy and Tony Longhurst, continues, but this is where the action is in the top 10 the race so far. As Jimmy Richards goes through, has opened a break of about 10 car lengths to Alan Jones in the number 20 car, and here comes Scaife, boing straight down on the inside, gets Jones out of shape. That's just to soften him up, perhaps. Well, he's softened him up all right. He's come through. Expect a bit of a...
I reckon that that Scaife a bit pumped up after the last race. Now Jones comes back and wants to argue now. Has Mark got a problem as a result of that? Well, maybe he's got some damage on the front left.
Well, the exuberance of youth there. I thought he had a clear track. Had closed the gap, but now it's getting pretty close. in this battle between second, third and fourth, Alan Jones, Win Percy, and Alan's teammate Tony Longhurst in the second of the B&H Sierras. And here comes Longhurst down the inside on the back straight. He's giving him the Rover Mowers treatment, but I think you'll find that Longhurst will get through.
That's when Win was praying the Commodore was a mere 12 feet wider.
You'll be thankful, well, Tony can be thankful that's Win Percy and not Alan Grice. He did that last year, but Grice fought back.
Now, Mark Scaife has called to the pits, and he's probably got a guard rubbing, or maybe got a flat tyre or something like that.
We'll check it out and see what's actually happening in the pits. As he calls in for attention from Fred Gibson. That really was a costly error.
They're running 16 laps into the race, so Winnie's dropping back a little bit. I hope he hasn't made the wrong tyre choice here, because he's run very competitively so far.
We're 17, coming up to 18 minutes in now.
Well, that's the situation in the pits. Mark Scaife goes back out. Jim Richards disappearing away from the pack.
Yeah, good margin now.
Mark Scaife has rejoined 21st position. But that's his race gone. He was looking pretty good there.
Jim Richards to Alan Jones is 6.5 seconds now, and then this pair scrapping for third place. Actually, second, third, fourth is separated by a pretty small margin. It's only 1.6 seconds, and the drivers, Alan Jones, Tony Longhurst, Win Percy. Now, this is all playing nicely into Jim Richards' hands at the moment. Remember that last year it was a disaster year for him. He qualified very well, and we had a wet race, and it was the one that got away from him, so he's certainly come back this year and has got it all under control.
Well, Win Percy is falling back just a little into the hands now of Glenn Seaton in the Peter Jackson Sierra. He's starting to gain some ground as they come down the back straight.
The gap from Percy to Seaton is 2.7 seconds. As I mentioned earlier, I know that Win went with a slightly different tyre than Larry Perkins, and it's a bit of a toss of the coin as to which tyre will survive best for 50 minutes around here.
Well, at the moment it favours Win Percy.
There's the Munro shock absorbers, Mercedes-Benz of Phil Ward being hotly pursued by Jim Richards, and Ward is involved in a scrap of his own with one of the BMW M3s, the ex-Brock cars, which were the ex-Gardner cars.
Isn't that a marvellous...
He's a bit busy to see Richo, I think.
Isn't that fantastic stuff from our Nissan track cam?
You see that friendly wave from Wardy as he saluted his fellow competitor there.
I'll bet. Okay, a little open racetrack on the inside down here as Jim Richards comes up. Nicely disposes of a pack of about 6 cars there and leaves them in the hands of Alan Jones and Tony Longhurst.
Phil's up in 19th place in the Benz, and actually the Benz in the German Championship this year is well and truly one of the front runners. There's a new evolution now in that car. Mark Scaife to the pits again.
Yeah, so he's gone back into the pits. No problems for Mark Scaife, none for this man who leads the race. That's Jimmy Richards in the Nissan Skyline.
And Scavey's out of the race. Fredo's just given him the signal to hop out of the car, so whatever it is, it's terminal with that car.
Must have been a pretty severe bash at the front, and it's done something weird to the front geometry. Or Dick Johnson, incidentally, is in 6th place. We're looking at his teammate John Bow there, and they're separated by, well, nothing. And it's been that way all weekend. There's Larry Perkins giving John Bow something to think about at the moment. They're old competitors from the open wheeler racing days, and we wouldn't get more fierce drivers, I don't think, than John Bow or Larry Perkins.
JB isn't giving him too much ground. Perkins has been right on him right from the start of the race.
Well, Mark Scaife ready to step out of the car, so his race is over for the afternoon. Had the, as we reported at the top of the show, the round of the Australian Drivers' Championship locked up only to counter gearbox problems, and second spot locked up in the touring car round, and some problems as well. So it hasn't been really the day for Mark Scaife. It must be said, though, on both occasions when he went out, he was very, very competitive.
Yes, just persevere and the day will come.
Dick Johnson, car number 17. There's a great shot on our Dunlop race cam as we pick up on Dick. You look like it's pretty hard stuff out there, Dick. Let him get through here.
It's a very, very busy circuit, this, and these guys will be starting to feel pretty hot and bothered, and you've got to try and relax yourself as much as you can without losing concentration.
Just give him a chance to get out of here.
Look at the amount of lock he's got cranked on here. And opposite lock.
One of your favourite tracks, Dick?
Oh, he's speechless. It's that bad.
Certainly keeping him very busy.
Just check whether Dick can hear us or not. Can he catch us, Dick? No, he's a bit busy. He's turned the volume down and concentrating. We'll come back to him.
We'll watch him, actually. We may not be able to talk to him, but just have a look at the amount of physical effort inside the cockpit of the car on this track. It's unbelievable.
It all looks so simple when we take one race cam shot, but that dashboard camera that we've put in will just give you an idea of
looks
how
like he's having a good time, doesn't he?
Like if ever you think that it looks like a Sunday afternoon drive around Winton, just take a look at the face of Dick Johnson.
The shot that I loved before was the one where he went into the top right-hander at Castrol corner, and then as he came out, it sort of, the thing doesn't want to turn going in, and it just lights up the rears coming out. Unbelievable. And that's 550 odd horsepower, folks. This is the breather, and it lasts for about 4 seconds. You go, and then it's on again.
Yep. John Bauer tails Dick Johnson, both running the Shell Ultra High Sierras. They've been able to just crib away from Larry Perkins in the last half lap. There's Larry going through, putting a lap on the BMW. The two Sierra boys have just passed.
23, coming up to 24 minutes now down in this race. And we've still got Jim Richards leading. In second place, Alan Jones. In third place, Tony Longhurst. In fourth place is Win Percy. Fifth, Glenn Seaton. Still about the same margin back to Seaton. Behind him, Dick Johnson. Then we've got John Bauer, followed by Larry Perkins, and then a fairly healthy gap back to Peter Brock. Peter Brock being pursued by Colin Bond, who is really genuinely storming through the field. Greg Hansford is next, then Andrew Badecki dropping a long way back, and Kevin Waldock would be next. So there's Perkins in the Holt Commodore with the Castrol backing, and well, it was only a couple of years ago when in the other carburettor version of this car that Perkins was very, very competitive and had a coming together with Johnson after qualifying, I think, on the front row. And the two of them had a little touch on the first lap. And 2 years later, and all that development, a lot of money under the bridge, and the cars are still pretty evenly matched on this track.
There's Larry Perkins going through. Running 8th on the road at the moment. And still ahead of Peter Brock in car number 5 that we haven't seen too much of. Peter started out of position number 13. Not the happiest of weekends for the Mobil 1 driver.
There's the Benson and Hedges cars having a battle for second and third. And
Tony's making a lunge here, and I think he might just squeeze through.
Alan made that very easy.
Yeah. Tony
Depends who's paying the bills, I guess, doesn't it?
It's just a little wave to say thanks. As he now gets on with the pursuit of race leader Jimmy Richards.
Tony's got the most important weapon of all in motor racing, the checkbook.
Scapey wasn't going to sail past that easily, was he?
No, none of that. So Longhurst goes on the pursuit of race leader Jim Richards. Leaves Alan Jones in his wake as they make their way up to the right-hander at Penrite Corner.
We mentioned that gap from Win Percy to Glenn Seaton, and it's 4.1 seconds. So Glenn's eating a little bit into Win's fourth place at the moment, but just coming bit by bit, but it'll be some way off before he actually challenges.
Jones has actually dropped a fair bit back from Longhurst in the space of a lap, and you've got to wonder whether he's got a problem.
Now we take our Dulux Auto Colour race cam. We're riding with Glenn Seaton aboard the Peter Jackson Sierra.
He was very, very quick in the days leading up to today's race.
Running 5th on the scoreboard at the moment is Glenn Seaton.
He looks to be doing a little more comfortably than Dick.
Yeah, I'd say sort of a little bit more grip than Dick at the moment. But Glenn as always looks good on the race cam shots. I reckon he's just got the car nicely balanced
and smooth.
Yep. Bit of bodywork hanging off the back of the Peter Jackson entry.
Bit of an altercation on the first lap. It's been like that for a while.
Well, it certainly hasn't worried him. The car running very, very strongly here today. In fact, yesterday morning, the first session of qualifying was really down to the two Nissans and Glenn Seaton, the fastest cars on the racetrack. They all picked up a little in the afternoon. Glenn went back. But he's been holding fairly steady, running in 5th spot. A little bit of the bumper hanging loose. And there's Dick Johnson, the next car behind him, running in 6th place.
Well, Glenn's still just chipping away 10th by 10th at the back of Win. And Win's lapping in 64.6 was his last lap, according to his pit board. And now Glenn dealing with Ray Lintott in the Valvoline entry.
Just about to lap that car.
And we're 28 minutes into this race, and so everybody now is working with pretty slippery rubber and pretty difficult conditions. Gee.
The Lintott car is a Johnson car, and it's certainly not down on poke, but it doesn't get around those corners too well, does it?
No. So past the Lintott car, it's a lap on it by Glenn Seaton, but it really did hold him up for a spell, and probably has helped Dick Johnson and John Bow to gain just a little on the driver as he works the back straight.
We'll see whether or not Glenn lost a bit of ground to Win Percy that time. And the gap is 4.3 seconds.
So through goes Glenn Seaton, car number 30, running 5th on the road. The order still Jimmy Richards in car number 2, the Nissan Skyline. Race leader over Tony Longhurst, Alan Jones, Win Percy, and then of course Glenn, who we've covered for the last lap or so, in car the Peter Jackson entry, already putting another lap on one of the slower cars. Now Colin Bond, that we mentioned earlier, due to a protest lodged by Alan Moffat and upheld, had to start off the back of the field.
There's Johnson, there's Bow, there's Larry Perkins, then the next one is Colin Bond. That's a pretty good spear through the field, and then not, well, actually a fair way behind Bondy is Peter Brock. We just saw him in the background there.
That is an outstanding drive from Colin Bond, who claims that he will appeal, so it's going to go further after today's race.
I'm not sure that they can do much. It's not like we can rerun the race and put him back in 10th, though.
No, we can't, can we? Yeah, it's all after the fact, isn't it?
Yeah. I think
what it'll do is it'll bring this debate about the tyres to a head. I think probably more than get a change of the way things have ended up being for Colin this weekend. It'll mean that there's going to be some discussion.
Well, Bondy is the only one that runs Toyo tyres, and it'd be difficult for him to get 4 of the one type. They're tyres that he's trying to experiment with and develop, and you know, you don't get 16 or 18 tyres all the same, so it'd be hard for him to get a mix of all the one tyres.
Those big words are hard, aren't they?
They are. They're very tough.
Okay, let's check them out for you on our scorecard and see exactly who's running at the top of the pack. No doubt about that. Car number 2, Jimmy Richards, is the race leader. Second spot is Tony Longhurst of Queensland and the Benson and Hedges Sierra. Running in 3rd is Alan Jones. 4th in the Holden is Win Percy, and still in 5th is Glenn Seaton. Brought to you by Shell Unleaded. Why not experience the difference?
We're 34.5 minutes into this race, and while we're in that break, Win Percy's Holden Commodore, which was running in 4th position, just mysteriously stopped in the middle of the road, and engine builder Rob Benson went sprinting down to it in the grass, opened the passenger's door, had a look, obviously did something. They got it mobile once again, and now it's pulled up at the top of the circuit. So that's put paid to the Holden Racing Team effort this weekend, as we look at Dick Johnson, who has moved up a slot as a result. So that puts Glenn Seaton in 4th, Dick Johnson in 5th, John Bow in 6th, And meanwhile, Jim Richards is just annihilating the pack.
Let's go to our Dunlop race cam. And hard at work today, Dickie Johnson.
Hard at work's not the meaning of the word, mate, I can tell you.
Well, what is the definition of Winton?
Come again?
What is the definition of Winton?
Winton. It's like running a marathon round your clothesline.
That's not your favourite track, Dick.
Come again?
It's not your favourite track.
Oh. Tell me about it.
How are the tyres holding up, Dick?
Actually pretty good. It's pretty hard to get grip when you never got any to start with. It's a funny surface here. It's a very, very low friction surface. And it's very hard to get tyres to operate.
Well, you're up to 5th at the moment and making a bit of a lunge at the leaders. You had some problems last week in the States.
Yeah, I tell you what, it was a lunge there, all right. See, it was a little bit different to here. If you put fences all the way around, that's what it'd be like.
Well, just for the sake of the viewers, you went to Darlington to run the 500 there, and you qualified and had some problems wound up in the wall.
Yeah, well, we qualified 39th, which is reasonable in those sort of conditions. I only had 30 laps on the track before the start of the race because of bad weather, and I ended up in the wall.
Well, at least you got a chance to sample the local food, the Cajun food. You tried the grits.
Mate, after I hit the wall, I had a pants full of them.
All right, I'll let you battle on. I'll come back to you later.
Thanks, pal.
Dickie Johnson, king of the one-liners.
He's 7.4 seconds behind Glenn Seaton at the moment. I'm not touching any of that.
Well, he had a terrible run here last year in the wet, and just claims no matter what he does, he can't harness the horsepower. They went through 5 compound tyres, tried them yesterday or the day before, and I guess practice isn't allowed, and it's thrown the ball back. They'll produce the
Murray
same.
Carter's on fire again this weekend. He's a bit early, but it's all happening up the top.
Yeah.
Well, the President Ford.
It's good to see they've fixed that problem.
Well, Murray Carter, if you recall, at Phillip Island.
I think it's burning a little harder than it was at Phillip Island. The flames are still belching out of the other side, which you can't see from there, but the fire crew was there very quickly, and I think they've nearly got it under control, maybe.
Yes, he has had a problem with a burnout or two, hasn't he, Murray?
She's just gone up again.
Yeah, it's quite a dangerous situation.
The fire truck leapt the gutter then and almost landed on his bonnet, but
Smother the fire,
yeah. Bloke in the passenger side had a blanket.
If the fire extinguishers don't dampen it, the dust will.
Certainly will. Oh, Peter Brock. Dearie me, Ray Lintott, they're just in front of him in the Valvoline car, got very much sideways. So through natural attrition, a few other problems, Peter Brock now moves to 8th. That's quite a performance out of 13. And Colin Bond also coming through the pack.
He's in the 7th, Bondi. Peter's got Mark Gibbs on the attack at the moment, and this is an actual battle for position, and Gibbs is giving it his all at the moment in the GIO insurance entry, the Bob Forbes car.
I was quite impressed with him yesterday in practice. He was getting around here very, very well.
Nothing wrong with the way that Mark drives. He's forceful and hard competitor. Brad, you've done a lot of racing against him. He doesn't give up, does he?
He'd be giving PB his money's worth. He doesn't care who he's racing against. He gives it everything he's got, and that's what he's doing now.
This car's got a Steve Knott engine in it, and it went very, very well in the opening round of the Shell Series at Amaroo Park, and was the leading Commodore, which was no mean feat when you're up against people like Win Percy and Larry Perkins. So Mark Gibbs at the moment challenging Peter Brock. He lost a little bit of ground on that lap, maybe overcooked it slightly. These two towards the bottom of the top 10. So anyone that's just joined us, we've lost Mark Scaife very early in the race. He had a coming together with Alan Jones. We've lost Win Percy with what I suspect is something to do with an engine management problem. John Smith went out very early in the Toyota Supra. And Jim Richards is just running away with this event at the moment. And in second place, we've got Tony Longhurst. In third, Alan Jones. In fourth, Glenn Seaton. Fifth, Dick Johnson. Sixth is John Bowe. Seventh, Larry Perkins. Eighth is Colin Bond. Ninth is Peter Brock. There's the Win Percy car, and behind him is Mark Gibbs. So that car, as I mentioned earlier, did stop in a different part on the circuit. The boys raced out and gave her a quick on-the-spot tune, got it mobile again, and now it's carked it. So, and the car was running fourth and running pretty encouragingly.
Well, the interesting thing about the Alan Moffat protest, if it has done one thing, it's stirred on Colin Bond. He's come through the field and passed Alan's number 11 car driven by Greg Hansford today. So they haven't had the best of day, the ANZ team.
So 40 minutes and 45 seconds gone in this 50-minute race. Brian Callaghan Jr. there, and the
Gibbsy's about to lose a little bit of ground here. Very difficult passing here. Whether you're lapping someone or trying to get past, there's just no room.
I don't mind the track though. I reckon it's a great little track. It maybe the only thing is, in a longer race, you pray for a longer straight somewhere to just relax a little bit. And one of these things, it's pretty hard work. There's our race leader, Jimmy Richards,
Just
putting a lap on Andrew Madecki in the second of the mobile team cars. Hasn't had the best of years so far in 1990. We thought maybe when he shook the rigours of running his own team and got into the mobile team that it might have a better run, but it's certainly been a tough year for him. And at the moment, I think that both Peter and Andrew have had a fairly ordinary week and not been able to get too much grip. They're suffering from the same problem that Dick Johnson suffers from. And I was talking to Peter yesterday, and he was really just praying for a much, much cooler day. It seems as though the Bridgestones don't like the temperature at the moment.
Richards continues to run away with round 4 of the Shell Touring Car Championship from Winton. That gap has opened. Show you the gap between Jimmy Richards and Tony Longhurst shortly as he works his way up to the right-hander at Castrol. Then comes down the back straight.
I reckon he's bagged this one. He's comfortably in front of the two B&H cars.
Look for the first yellow car.
I've got the stopwatch on this gap.
Richards goes through.
6.6 seconds from Jim to Tony.
There's our second place, Tony Longhurst, going through. Here comes third placed Alan Jones. Fourth, of course, is Glenn Seaton, just passing the Shell marker now. Then, of course, behind him, Dick Johnson, John Bowe and Larry Perkins there in the white Commodore. Just behind them is Colin Bond. He's actually picking up that group very, very quickly in the Caltex CXT Sierra. Probably man of the match to Colin Bond so far.
We need a massive gap back to Peter Brock, as you can see. It's Tony Noski there a lap down, and then there's Brock in the background with Mark Gibbs. So that well and truly covers the top 10 for you and the margins between them. And then we're getting the lap traffic.
Okay, let's check them out on our Toyota race score in round 4 of the Touring Car Nationals from Winton. Race leader Jimmy Richards in the Nissan Skyline. In second spot, it's Tony Longhurst in the Benson and Hedges Sierra. Third is Alan Jones. Fourth is Glenn Seaton in the Peter Jackson Sierra. And rounding out the 5, Queensland hero Dickie Johnson. A little on the sideways there. There's the lusty Holden with Dick Johnson going through, putting a lap on that. Just drops it out onto the dirt.
Probably what's going through Larry's mind at the moment, I guess, is just give it everything. I mean, go for broke.
Race order still Richards over Tony Longhurst, Alan Jones, Glenn Seaton, then Dick Johnson, John Bowe. We're following at the moment Larry Perkins, then Colin Bond. Peter Brock is the next one after that. And then Mark Gibbs in car number 21. Well done on Mark Gibbs's part. Been a good drive in the GIO Commodore.
This is the battle for 6th we're looking at. And, we're now 49 minutes and 23 seconds in, so about 30 seconds to go. We'll look for Jim Richards.
Whoa, Perkins has gone the wrong way.
He's gone down in, yeah.
But has he? Because Bondi's out in the dirt as well. That's the bit we can't see. Oh. Well, everything stayed the same, except the gaps are bigger.
The gap just opened up. That has just taken all the pressure off.
JB be having a breather right now.
49 minutes and 48 seconds, and
not too far off the finish of this race with Jimmy Richards
is coming down the back straight now for the last time. And Larry, after all that flurry of grass and dust.
Okay, here's Jimmy Richards. We're riding with the Nissan Motorsport race cam down into the S's. Looking for the checkered flag. Last corner comes up, and he's done it. He's broken the Ford Sierra stranglehold. Richards takes it at Winton. Jimmy Richards across the line in car number 2. A win today for Nissan. That's 2 years in a row. The second spot will go to Tony Longhurst in car number 25. And finishing third, Alan Jones in car number 20. Fantastic finish to round number 4 of the championship. They would have desperately loved to had a 1-2 finish here at Winton today. That was not to be.
Seaton was 4th, and Dick Johnson is going to come home in 5th. John Bower will be 6th. Larry Perkins 7th. Colin Bond 8th. Peter Brock will be 9th, and Brock's going to have to work like crazy to defend from Mark Gibbs, who will finish 10th. So that gives you an idea of the top 10.
Okay, let's recap them for you now on our go and relax now, will you? Just a cool, soothing ale or something?
I'll probably have a Foster's or two now, I should think, Mike, yeah.
Thanks for a great race.
Okay, thank
Tony
you.
Longhurst, a superb drive for second. Do you think you had a chance of catching Jim inside the distance?
Jim's a hard bloke to catch. He gets a 5-second buffer, and it's hard to reel in. I brought him back about a second. It's just so hot out there, and you know, we're on Yokohama tyres. The tyres work fantastic, and I'm just looking forward to Lakeside. He won't get it so easy up there.
I bet so. Thanks very much.
Watch out, Dick.
Okay, thanks, Tony. And congratulations to the man who promised it for so long and delivered today at Winton, and a repeat of Nissan's absolutely stunning performance here last year.
Thank you, Mike. Yes, obviously the reliability of the Nissan has come to the fore again. The car went faultlessly through practice and the race. The Yokohama tyres were absolutely magnificent, but I must say all credit to Fred Gibson and the boys at Nissan Motorsport. They just, it's the best little car I've driven, and it hasn't had a failure for about 2 seasons.
I thought you had a 1-2 set up there for a while today.
I was hoping so, yes. Mark was driving real good, but I think he had a little bit of panel damage with somebody and had to pit.
Jimmy Richards, congratulations. John Rutherford of Shell about to sash our winner. And of course, Jim Richards is a winner here today at Winton, and you'll be a winner if you stick with 7's calendar of sport. Next weekend, it's round 3 of the Australian Football League, so make sure you catch our Match of the Day coverage coast to coast on Saturday. Next weekend also marks round 3 of the National Basketball League, and we've got the great game covered exclusively. Catch all the action on Sunday. And don't forget Sports World with Bruce McAvaney each and every Sunday morning, including the footy panel hour at 11 Eastern. For motor racing fans, keep in mind round 5 of the Shell Australian Touring Car Championship will be coming your way on Sunday, May 5 from Lakeside in Brisbane, with all the action 5 through 6 Eastern. And of course, where the cars do go the Lakeside, Dick Johnson, of course, will retain the series lead on 60 points. But look who's running in second. Jim Richards, 56 points within striking distance. Third is John Bower on the Shell Series scorecard on 48. Then, of course, Tony Longhurst on 27 and Peter Brock on 25. We sincerely hope that you've enjoyed our telecast of round 4 from Winton today. We'll catch you at Lakeside next time 7 Sport goes motor racing.
This motor racing telecast was proudly brought to you by Shell Ultra Unleaded, experience the difference, by the hot Toyota Corolla SX, and by Dunlop, the world's best road holding tyres.